the project of attacking the world, the order of life that is organized for us, that has come down upon us from history, that we have inherited, that now seems to be firmly established, and at this moment is called capitalism, is an overwhelming demand on us. It's an overwhelmingly gigantic task, and it needs overwhelmingly large means, and they can't be copied from what you call revolutions or from attacks against brutality like police and so on. They are armed to the teeth. It's ridiculous to sacrifice your youth and your elbows and your toes to these idiots. So the attack must be otherwise and bigger, larger.
And every man into plowshares beat their swords. The nation shall have war no more. And every man into plowshares beat their swords. Shall live in peace and shall have war no more.
Through this door, on your way to a piece of bread and aioli, you acquire citizenship in the brand new possibilitarian state.
Al pasar por esta puerta camino al pan y aioli, usted adquirirá ciudadanía en el nuevo estado posibilitario.
There is a power for good in the universe, and you can use it.
Welcome to the Science of Spiritual Reality with me, Mitchell K. Jones.
For I was hungry, and you gave me food to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. Then the righteous will answer him, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? When did we see you as a stranger and take you in, or naked and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and come to you? The king will answer them, Most certainly, I tell you, because you did it to one of the least of these my brothers, you did it to me. Then he will say also to those on the left hand, Depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire, which is prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you didn't give me food to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and you didn't take me in. Naked, and you didn't clothe me. Sick and in prison, and you didn't visit me. Then they will also answer, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry, or thirsty, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and didn't help you? Then he will answer them, saying, Most certainly I tell you, because you didn't do it to one of the least of these, you didn't do it to me.
So I'd like to talk about what's going on right now and
People position spirituality as a distraction from politics and a distraction from what needs to happen right now in our, third dimensional, what we call in the spiritual community, third dimensional, what I would call material or sort of lowercase r reality, our waking life, so to speak. And it's true, spiritual bypass is a direction away from material struggles, which continue to be lowercase r real, so long as they are something that you have to deal with, So that's where I differ from things like the Course in Miracles and New Age channeled writings like that, is that reality is not an illusion. Because whether you consider it an illusion or not is something that you have to deal with. So that's why I favor a critical, enchanted materialism and a spiritual materialism that sees materialism as a finer form of matter. So that's my spiritual perspective and its voice to the left. My socialist perspective and its voice to the spiritual would be that prayer and affirmations and manifestation are not alternatives to the material here and now. Meditation is not a bypass where you can just avoid the material realities. And as I meditate more and more from day to day, I begin to see why Charles Fillmore called it the most enticing thing in the world. The spiritual world of the silence is a realm of infinite joy, infinite beauty and pleasure and fun and love. But that's little comfort to someone sitting in a prison. That's little comfort to someone who can't afford something to eat. As Martin Luther King said, true revolution of values is more than flinging a coin to a beggar. It comes to recognize that an edifice that produces beggars needs restructuring. And so I'm reminded of something that actually I saw from another spiritual influencer on social media about the purpose of meditation and positive thinking in a moment like our moment now, in a historical moment like our moment, where the contradictions of society seem so apparent and ready to burst at the seams. I've talked a lot about how this is the time of monsters. because the old world is dying and the new one struggles to be born, as Gramsci said. Excuse me, I need to sustain myself. My physical body, which is 1/3 of my triune being, which is a privilege for us to have. It's a privilege for us to be here, to have a material body. We should never squander that privilege. But, you know, the activist who says this is a distraction from history, a distraction from the really important things that are going on. Well, as I already mentioned, you know, activists talk about revolutionary optimism, but very few talk about radical optimism, radical revolutionary optimism, about having faith that another world is not only possible, that another world is assured, that it is already in place, that it's already been set into motion. And the thing that I saw from this influencer who goes by Grace Pilled on Instagram, she says that how much more important now is meditation at a historical moment when we really need right thinking to be able to shape our actions in this world. And I want to share a clip from a report from Minneapolis that I just heard from True Anon, the podcast by Brace Belden and Liz Franzak. And this really demonstrates I think not only the issues with heated, spontaneous uprisings and a lack of a, you know, disciplined party structure as an alternative and all these sort of political critiques we could make, but also emotion and the role that emotion plays and how, if we're able to more consciously use our emotions and more consciously be optimistic, be positive, and more soberly and rationally think about the best ways to go ahead and the best strategies to take, which I think are benefits of both meditation and affirmative thinking. And in unity, that's affirmative prayer, you know, affirming to God, not pleading with God, but saying, thank you, because this is how it is, this alternative world that we're going into. You know, so that's a method of affirmative prayer, and I'm going to talk about this more soon. But I'd like you to hear this report from the ground, from the activists who are working against ICE and resisting ICE. Which again, you know, let's not equivocate. This is a fascist brown shirt force oppressing, you know, not only strangers or foreigners or you know, whatnot, but also citizens, which I don't make a distinction on a hierarchy between those, but let's be clear about what they're doing. But, at the same time, let's be clear about what we're doing. And so I think that's why positive thinking and new thought ideas and self-improvement and things like that, and being in touch with spirit, being in touch with God, affirmative prayer, these are necessary on the left that claims to be revolutionary optimists, because why else would they do this? But at the same time, refuse to be radical optimists.
What I witnessed in the next 15, 20 minutes was some of the most bumbling, incompetent, at times very pathetic displays of police work from any uniformed officer I've ever seen anywhere in the world. I have been arrested numerous times throughout my life, and I'll be honest, I was guilty every time. But I have been the recipient of relatively professional police work in the grand scheme of things, and I've been on the receiving end of very aggressive and let's say less than professional police work. This was unlike any of that. I mean, this was like if you and your dumbest friends drank a bottle of Hornitos and then tried to wrestle a Mexican. I mean, it was like, I've never seen it like this. They are slipping and sliding all over the place.
Because of the ice? Ice on ice?
No, they're on snow. They are not on ice. But because of the equilibrium, or not the equilibrium, because the weight of the vests that they have is so heavy that they're actually kind of unable to move effectively. Sure. The guy there trying to and failing to arrest maybe a guy's like 5'3", and they kind of end up just like at one point. I have video of this, which maybe I'll post. I did post some of it on my personal Instagram, but I'll post some in an addendum to this episode or something. At one point, after they handcuff the guy, or maybe they're trying to handcuff the guy, like one agent is holding him and the other agent just pushes him, like to fuck with him. But by pushing the prisoner, it knocks the other agent off balance and they just all fall into the snow. At this point,
problem with being like so geared up.
Yes. And just also they're like, you can tell that they're really hyped up. And like they don't really know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
At this point, other people are starting to arrive. They're backup. They don't have backup. It's just these three guys, these three ICE agents. But other activists are starting to arrive until there's a crowd of maybe 15 there. They're behind this fence, and there's two of the ICE agents and the prisoner behind the fence, and then one sort of patrolling in front of it. And it's a fence that's maybe like 3 feet high. It's like a little fence that probably high, it's usually has a lawn behind it. And they can't figure out how to get out of the fence, and they're panicking. The fence very clearly has a gate slightly further down. I don't know if it needs a resident to open it, but it is, again, this is a 3 foot tall thing. Pretty sure you can just open it from the inside. One of the residents closest to them for the apartment building is yelling at them and whistling, and they're being yelled at from now behind and people on the street. And the officer that we had been chasing earlier starts panicking. And I found it pathetic, actually. I mean, I don't know how there's another way to put it. And I'm actually shocked that he would allow himself this display of emotion in front of this large crowd, but he starts picking up his phone. He calls someone on his phone, presumably other officers, and starts like in a really panicked voice, like, "Where are you guys?" Like he does this several times. I think I got it on video twice. In fact, we should play a portion of that right now. So he does that multiple times, and he grows increasingly panicked. And his partner is the guy that's like now trying to like handcuff the guy that they got, and he's just pacing back and forth and shaking. Not only is he shaking, but the guy that's sort of protecting them on the outside is also really tense and just pacing back and forth. And he takes out a giant can of pepper spray or mace and starts shaking it. At this point, a woman that is friends with the people I'm with comes up, and she is asking the guy being arrested what his name is, because oftentimes people will just be snatched and their families or friends, nobody will know what happens to them. And so you're supposed to try to get their names. When she goes up to do that, and she's not being aggressive, she's not raising her voice or anything, she's certainly not making aggressive movements or trying to get over the fence. When she goes to do that, the guy that's sort of on patrol outside the fence goes up to her and points the mace can directly in her face and sprays her. And kind of gets it all over me. Gets it all over her, but like it goes on like other people as well. I get a little bit in my mouth, and a friend sort of takes her back in the car. It turns out her dad's there and gets really pissed off. And at this point, backup arrives. The ICE agents still can't figure out how to get the prisoner around the fence. They can't figure out the gate. And so they end up just having a bunch of them climb over the fence and lift the guy over and put him on the outside. And then the problem is now the prisoner and like one or two ICE agents is on outside of the fence, but all the cops are so tired and out of shape that they're unable to get back over the fence because they keep falling. And they're not falling on ice. They are falling because they're physically unable to scale a 3-foot fence.
This seems too comical.
I counted 8 falls.
I feel like there's too many jokes about being fenced in, about...
I mean, it was... Yeah, I mean, build a wall. Yeah, it was... Yeah.
I don't even want to say it. But I know that like the kind of keystone cop of it all has been remarked upon by various reporters. But I think it's, they really downplay it, obviously, because these guys have, they all think that they're, they all have like main character video game syndrome or whatever, where they all literally are like narrating it as if it's like a fucking action game or whatever that they're the guy in. It's almost like too obviously pathetic or something. Well, which almost makes me uncomfortable.
I know it was, and in fact, that's when I was like, "Oh shit, is this?" Because the particularly nervous agent, who was still very visibly like shaking and unable to scale this fence, I was like, "Is he going to take the gun out?" Because I could see that he was clearly in his head, the situation had gotten out of control.
Right.
And to be clear, like there were activists around there, but there wasn't like a riot or, like no one was throwing shit at them.
They were like in their faces.
But not even these guys' faces. Like, no, the other guy was keeping a perimeter. Yeah, exactly. Yes, they weren't in their faces. I mean, they were a little bit, but it didn't seem like it was like about to pop off or anything like that in like a violent way. But this guy was like, hands sort of reaching, like you could tell that he was kind of like going towards his gun. But I'm pretty sure, I mean, it's been reported that they had an order like, don't take out your guns. Like, don't, they were supposed to kind of like, not calm tensions, but they didn't want a repeat of the previous two, the Good and Preddy shootings, especially so close to each other, because I think that they realized that would be quite bad for DHS. And so this guy kind of like, he didn't really know what to do. At that point, a activist sort of falls or kind of like tries to put herself on the body of the guy who's being arrested. I'll say this. I thought it was a really bad idea. Everyone kind of was very confused by this because all that ended up happening was she was just immediately, they took down her glasses and mask, pepper sprayed her in the face, and then handcuffed her and put her in her car. I'm like, that seemed like pretty obvious that was going to happen to me. Or to me, that seemed fairly obvious that was going to happen. But I think it speaks to a certain dynamic there that struck me as quite common throughout a lot of these incidents. That there's a lot of adrenaline that goes through your body when you're like chasing these guys, right? Like the ICE officers. And then you catch them. And then there is this sort of like standoff, and there's this sort of tense situation. And when we got there, we sort of had them on the defensive a little bit. I mean, not in like a way where if they particularly should have felt threatened or anything. And just speaking objectively, like, it was not a very threatening offense. And I was there's a journalist. I was just taking videos. But you're kind of unable to kind of consummate this, I guess, if that makes sense. Like the closest thing that I could compare it to was like going to battle or war. Because most of the time in war, you're sort of driving around or you're stationary, but you're like looking for an enemy, or you're like kind of like on edge, like an anticipation of it. And then that culminates, or doesn't, but can culminate in some sort of like exchange of fire or whatever. But in some kind of battle. Whereas this is actually not that. This is, you have this sort of like tense standoff, and it feels, and you almost like, and there's a sort of like heroic feeling to it, but then it ends in like a kind of, and I don't say this in a, I think I'm sort of speaking objectively.
Well, there's nowhere for it to go.
There's nowhere for it to go. There's an impotence at the end of this, right? That I definitely think that sort of everyone felt. So you have these like moments of like, spiking adrenaline of this excitement, of this rush, and then there's no like consummation.
There's no release.
There's no release. And like sometimes the prisoners have gotten away. I don't know if that's because of activists. I haven't seen that happen. I've seen videos of that happening in general. But beyond that, it's a defensive sort of action. It's a defensive action. It's more of a delaying action, because in this instance, they still got the guy. And not only did they get the guy, they got some random lady too. And all we did was just sort of make it worse for them. And there is a certain, I'm not gonna say we, because, again, just neutral party here. But there is something to be said for that, for like delaying them or making it more difficult or damaging morale. But it is certainly like it's very unequal as to what you can do, and so I don't know. There was that's true, I guess, of a lot of various kinds of activism. But in this case, it was so like, you have these two groups opposing each other and sort of standing off, but you can't like fight. And I know there was that video of Alex Preddy that came out, right? Like a week before he got shot, kicking the tailgate off of an ICE car. Remember that?
Well, yeah. The one that everyone was like, that's AI.
Yeah, that was really depressing to see how many people immediately assumed that was AI. And then even after it was clear, it was always clear, but after it became even more clear it wasn't AI, stuck to that story, because I think that's a bad road to go down too. But people were sort of like, I think, a little defensive about it, but I completely understood exactly why he did that. Because you have this frustration, right? Of like, you're unable to stop this thing in a real way. And you have this kind of like energy flowing through your body and mind, and this frustration at this impotence. And yeah, so I'm like, it seems very understandable that he would kind of kick something. Yeah, I don't know. It is it's a dynamic that I've experienced in other ways before, but never this acutely. Like, this isn't too dissimilar than like sort of facing off with the cops at a protest or something like that. Although actually it is a little dissimilar, because like you can sort of, there's scuffles with them or whatever, even though they oftentimes are almost always greatly outmatched protesters. But in this, like, we far outnumbered them, or the people that I was, these activists far outnumbered them. But they still, despite that, were unable to actually prevent them from doing this.
Jesus says, "For he that hath, to him it shall be given, and he that hath not, from him shall be taken away even that which he hath." This is a puzzling statement to literal-minded people, to material-minded people. but to a metaphysical thinker, it makes perfect sense. Jesus is talking about the way the law of mind action works in a person's life. Like attracts like begets like. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. If a person has a strong faith in God, he or she will develop an abundance consciousness, a prosperity consciousness. Jesus calls this him that hath. And under the law of mind action, a hath consciousness manifests increase good. A hath not consciousness is a belief in lack consciousness, a poverty consciousness, a distrust of God. The same law of mind action will work for that kind of consciousness. And so instead of increase for that person, decrease becomes the experience. It's either a hath, to him shall be given, law of mind action, or a hath not, decrease, law of mind action. Who determines which law one is under? We do. We decide. And so we accept God's ever-increasing abundance.
So my impression is when I hear, reports like that is sort of that everybody on all sides are acting in a wrong way. That isn't to say that one side is not more wrong than the other. Certainly I don't want to both sides this or horseshoe theory this or anything like that. But that said, the right side of history should be critiqued because, we need to talk about it and what the best strategies are if we want to win. So, this kind of gets to something that I've been concerned about when it comes to activism, sort of in general, is that I think we need to think about politics in a new way. We can't continue the old way that it's been done. And that starts with looking within, but it then radiates outward. So this is a piece that I recorded a little bit ago, actually, when Trump was about to bomb Iran. Remember that? When he was bombing Iran? And people were worried about that. Seems like we have so much more to worry about now because fascism is imperialism turned inward. But this is something I wrote about peace and what Jesus said about how to obtain peace. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. These days, our world feels heavy tension. Headlines speak of conflict, nations stand divided, and hearts ache for resolution. In times like these, Jesus' words, "Blessed are the peacemakers," ring out not as a gentle suggestion, but as a divine imperative. I'd like to tell you a story. It's a true story. In 1955, a woman named Jill Jackson Miller, American author, songwriter, and actor, sat down and wrote a simple song that would become a global anthem of peace. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. We all know it. Today we sing it at the end of every service. The first line, the title of the song, is written on the back wall. But Jill's life was not always peaceful. She had been orphaned as a child. She had gone to Hollywood and had a successful movie career, but after she divorced her husband, her film career began to flounder, and she went through a period of personal difficulty that even led her to contemplate suicide. She later wrote about how during this time she experienced what she described as an eternal moment of truth, where she knew unconditional love, which God is. Now that's a quote from her. She also spoke about how this transformative experience led her to realize she was, quote, totally loved, totally accepted, and here for a purpose, developing her unique philosophy of peace that inspired her most famous work. In her darkest moment, she discovered the power of inner peace through prayer and spiritual practice. She realized that peace was not something to demand from the world, but something to cultivate within. After this, she embarked on a songwriting career with her new husband, and now is better known for music than acting. And her second marriage was a true partnership in business and in love. Her song still reminds us that peace is not just an absence of war or conflict. It is a presence, a divine harmony that starts in our own hearts. So just as Jesus calmed the storm with the words, "Peace be still," as Mark's account in chapter 4, verse 39 recalls, when there was a storm, he said, "Peace be still," and the storm became still. We too can calm the storms of fear, anger, and anxiety within us. Now remember from last week we talked about the Beatitudes from the Sermon on the Mount, and recall that Beatitude, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God." By way of review of Emmett Fox's reading of this, the peacemakers are conscious co-creators who are aligned with Christ consciousness and with divine truth. According to Fox, the peace that they make is the realization of divine truth. So anybody that spreads awareness of divine truth is a peacemaker. Being called children of God means to awaken to what you truly are, a divine being. Along similar lines, Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, taught that true peacemaking, again, begins in the soul. He wrote, "The peacemakers spoken of in the Beatitude are those who make or bring about this true peace or serenity in their own souls. For it is they who surmount limitation and become actually, and not merely potentially, the children of God." So again, peace is not just a passive presence, it's the active alignment with God's presence. When Jesus said, "My peace I give to you," as John recalled in chapter 14, he was offering a deep, abiding serenity that comes from knowing we are one with God. Yet, so often, we let anxiety, resentment, and fear disrupt our peace. Fillmore warned that lasting peace requires more than surface-level harmony. It demands the dismantling of inner divisions, pride, greed, and separation, so that God's order can reign. During the time he was writing in 1914, the European rulers' hidden fears led to what became World War I. Fillmore wrote, "The conflict of nations in Europe is stirring the sympathetic hearts of our people of America, and there's a widespread desire to do something to bring about peace. Our readers are pouring in upon us plans and suggestions for prayers, petitions, and treatments, asking and even commanding in the name of Christ the restoration of the principles for which the Christian religion stands. We are in complete sympathy with this humane and natural desire of all sane people for a universal peace the world round, a peace that can never be broken by the ambition of any nation. This enduring peace is sure to be established when people see the insanity of war, but it will never be entered into by the whole world until certain deep-seated errors are eradicated from human thought." So he concluded, "So we see much is yet to be done before peace is declared. The nations have not asked for peace. When they have proved futile their own efforts to bring about lasting peace, our prayers and words of peace will find a resting place in their land." So here's the practical application of this lesson. How to become a peacemaker. Again, Fillmore says, "But before this peace is established, all the states of mind that bring about war must be broken up." According to Fillmore in The Revealing Word, peace is the harmony and tranquility derived from awareness of the Christ consciousness. Steadfast affirmations of peace, here's the practical part, will harmonize the whole body structure and open the way to attainment of health conditions in mind and body, and by extension in nation and world. So maybe we're asking the wrong question when we seek peace outside without first knowing it within. As divine beings, children of God, we already have perfect peace within us. We don't need to create it, but we do need to claim it. The beauty and simplicity of the idea is perfectly expressed again in the song, "Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me." So how do we embody this peace? The technique in unity is known as denial and affirmation, but I'd like to talk about it today as release and embrace. Put these in more peaceful terms, more non-resistant terms. Denial. I now release all fear, anxiety, and unrest, surrendering every burden to God's perfect peace. So whenever worry arises, we can pause and breathe and say, "Peace, be still," just as Jesus calmed the storm in those words. We can practice Emmett Fox's Golden Key. We have a little pamphlet. If this is your first time you received that pamphlet in your welcome packet, the golden key. It's a very simple but very powerful idea. Whenever you're experiencing trouble, whenever you're experiencing turmoil, take your mind off of that trouble, take your mind off of that turmoil, and put it on God. Think about God instead. Another thing, and I know it's hard to do a lot of times, and it also turns up more tumultuous feelings, but to forgive others, and also to forgive yourself. And sometimes that's the hardest thing to do, is to forgive yourself. And forgive past hurts. Release the past. No longer give it power over you. Resentment blocks peace. And finally, surrender control. Be non-resistant. Be like water. Trust that God's wisdom is at work. Let go and let God. And then the next step in that is the embrace. So first the release, then the embrace. I am a peacemaker filled with divine serenity, and I reflect God's love and harmony in all I do. Start your day with that declaration. In conflicts, when you find yourself in a confrontational situation, choose understanding over reaction. Choose to see that person as a child of God, as a divine being, rather than reacting to the relative situation, to the cause and effect 3D situation between personalities rather than individualities. And then finally, the best way to become a peacemaker is to radiate calmness. When you reflect peace, when you reflect calmness, your peace will influence others. So to conclude, peace is not just for quiet moments. It's actually for the chaos, for the disagreements, for the storms of life. Remember, Jesus said, peace, be still. When we anchor in God's peace, we become healers in a fractured world. As Jill's song, which we will sing at the end, and again it says, the first line on the back wall, let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let's go forth as true peacemakers and as children of God, bringing divine light wherever we go. Amen.
Since 1963, the sounds and images of Peter Schumann's Bread and Puppet Theater have been attracting the public's attention as their giant puppet creatures and 12-foot-high stilters have paraded down our city streets and avenues in celebration and in protest. But for one weekend each summer, Bread and Puppet invites the public to its fields and forests in northern Vermont for a day-long spectacle, our domestic resurrection circus, whose origin can be found in the perennial feasts and carnivals of many cultures. Thousands arrive for this free event and are offered slices of freshly baked bread as the small puppet sideshow performances begin. In the late afternoon, the audience gathers around the natural amphitheater to watch the circus with its papier-mâché animal acts, its jazzy music, and political satire. Finally, at dusk, the pageant, a vast allegorical drama, is presented by a cast of over 100 volunteer performers upon a 20-acre stage of rolling fields and forests. This film is about one circus weekend and the people of Bread and Puppet.
In the three segments you've just seen, our ministers have given us an overview of the unity approach to healing, prosperity, and loving relationships. Ultimately, as we become more in tune with that inner world where our lives are played out, we begin to experience that inner knowing and inner peace our ministers discussed. That peace is then outpictured in our bodies, in our affairs, and in our relationships with each other, and finally, in the world. As we begin to see ourselves as peacemakers, we can prayerfully see and behold all persons as one, with a peaceful flow of God within. It is simply stated in one of Unity's favorite songs, "Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me." Myrtle Fillmore herself put it this way: I really feel as if all that is worthwhile in life is serving one another and helping one another on the road to spiritual knowledge. We only live.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
God is my help in every need. God does my every hunger feed. God walks beside me, guides my way through every moment of the day. I now am wise, I now am true, patient, kind, and loving too. All things I am, can do, and be through Christ the truth that is in me. God is my health, I can't be sick. God is my strength unsailing quick. God is my all, I know no fear, since God and love and truth are here. Amen.
This week's meditation is A Drill in the Silence by Martha Giudici. The meditative experience that we will now be entering into is called A Drill in the Silence and is based on a Unity pamphlet of the same name. This pamphlet has been included in the material that came with your tapes. We will start by relaxing the body, stilling the mind. Then I will speak words which you should follow in the quiet of your own mind, responding from within the quiet of your own being. So let us begin our meditative experience now by finding that comfortable position in your chair, with your feet flat on the floor, with your spinal column erect but not stiff, and your hands in the position which you find most comfortable. Now that you have found that position, let's close our eyes and take a deep breath, letting out all tension, all concern, all care. Then, as you resume normal breathing, tell your body to relax and to be at peace. Relax and be at peace. And feel your whole body responding to your words from the top of your head to the tip of your toes, relaxing and becoming very peaceful. Relaxed and at peace. And then loose the body and let it go from your thoughts, relaxed and at peace. Then to the thoughts of your mind, say, peace, be still. Peace, be still. And set them aside for the moment. Take another deep breath. Let it out. And as you resume normal breathing, let yourself sink deeper and deeper into the quiet. With each breath, going deeper, with each breath, becoming more relaxed. And now, in this relaxed state of mind and body, listen and follow the words in the quietness of your own being. As you enter into the quiet, feel the power of God flowing through you, freeing you from every thought of tension. Let your whole body, every nerve, every muscle, every cell, relax and let go. In the quietness of your being, affirm with me, be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Know it now. You are relaxed, still. You are in the presence of God. Your faith and love unify you with Him. They make your mind His mind, your body His body, your life His life, your will His will. Be still and know that I am God. Now, turn your attention to the top of your head and know with me, I am the light of the world. I am the light of the world. Be still and feel the light of spirit through you and over you. Feel yourself immersed as in a sea of light, your whole being illumined, awake, exalted, the light of the world. I am the light of the world. Now, center your attention just above your eyes and declare with me, I am divine intelligence. I am divine intelligence. Divine mind is a reservoir of ideas, good ideas, yours to draw upon, yours to use. You have opened your mind to the inspiration of God. Now, move your attention to your eyes and centering your attention there, say, I see with the eyes of spirit. I see with the eyes of spirit. Your eyes are the watchful servants of a mind that sees only the perfection of spirit. Your spiritual vision is renewed. You see with the eyes of spirit. I see with the eyes of spirit. Now, center your attention at the throat and affirm with me, all power is given unto me in mind and body. All power is given unto me in mind and body. The power of God is working through you to free you from every negative influence. Nothing can hold you in bondage. You are the overcomer, a son of God. All power is yours to control your thoughts, to vitalize your body, to gain success, to bless others. Unleash your spiritual forces. All power is given unto you in mind and body. All power is given unto me in mind and body. Now fix your thought at the back of your neck and know with me, I am unfettered and unbound. I am unfettered and unbound. You are free with the freedom of spirit. No false condition has any power over you. You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Poised in the consciousness of your Christ mastery, you are unfettered and unbound. I am unfettered and unbound. ' Now, directing your attention toward your back, declare with me, I am strong in the Lord and in the power of His might. I am strong in the Lord and in the power of His might. Your yoke is easy. Your burden is light. Free, poised, light-hearted, you face life confidently, strong in the Lord and in the power of His might. I am strong in the Lord and in the power of His might. Turn your attention now toward your heart and know with me, I am the perfect expression of divine love. I am the perfect expression of divine love. Divine love. Love transforms. Love transfigures. Love fills the heart with harmony. Love fills the mind with kind, helpful thoughts. Love fills the lips with words of praise and cheer. Love fills life, fills it to overflowing with happiness and peace. Whatever the need or problem, divine love is the answer, and you are the perfect expression of divine love. I am the perfect expression of divine love. Now, fix your attention at the pit of the stomach and say with me, I am satisfied with divine substance. I am satisfied with divine substance. The substance of God erases fatigue from your body, renews tissues, replenishes energy. It stabilizes your mind. It prospers your affairs. Every longing of your soul, every need of your life is fulfilled. You are satisfied with divine substance. I am satisfied with divine substance. Now, focus your attention at the area of the navel and realize with me, divine order is established in my mind and body. Divine order is established in my mind and body. Divine order. The law of the universe is unchanging, absolute. You are now in harmony with that law. It governs and guides you. It is active in your mind, harmonizing your thoughts. In your body, adjusting its functions. In your affairs, establishing peace, success, and joy. Divine order is established in your mind and body. Divine order is established in my mind and body. Now center your thought at the lower part of the abdomen and know with me, I am alive forevermore in Christ. I am alive forevermore in Christ. You have entered the secret place of life. Life charges your mind, flows through your veins, permeates your tissues, every nerve, every muscle, every cell. Your eyes shine, your skin glows, your faculties are sharpened, your whole body radiates health. You are one with life, the Christ life, ever renewing life. You are alive forevermore in Christ. Finally, centering your thought in your feet and legs, affirm with me, I walk in paths of righteousness and peace. I walk in paths of righteousness and peace. The strength and swiftness of God enters your feet and legs so that your way is made easy. The light of His intelligence shines around you so that your way is made plain. His Spirit goes before you so that your way is made successful. Now, relax into a time of quiet, letting the activity of spirit do its perfect work in and through your body, in and through your mind, in and through your whole being. Relax in the quiet. You may want to spend a short time in this quietness, letting the mind flow free, letting it flow to its center, letting it experience the revitalizing, renewing action of spirit. When you are through with this quiet time, then begin to bring your attention back up behind the eyes, and ever so gently and ever so slowly, let light come to the eyes as you gently open your eyelids, not focusing, letting light come until your eyes are opened but not focused. Finally, open your eyes and focus gently on the world around you, bringing with you the sense of vitality and renewal that you have experienced in the silence. And in quiet affirmation of this receiving, we say, "Thank you, Father." And it is done.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. And leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.